Good morning to you. Mark's out of HurricaneTrack.com here with your hurricane outlook and discussion in the early morning hours here of July the 18th. We need to look at Tropical Storm Don, christened yesterday, 5 p.m. advisory time. Now, 12 hours later, winds are 50 miles per hour right there, moving west at 18, going to move into the southeast Caribbean Sea fairly briskly, and so by 24 hours out, it'll be well into the southeast Caribbean. And beforehand, though, however, it'll pass more than likely south of Barbados, which is right here, and into the area north of Trinidad and Tobago with the center of circulation. Now, we need to look at the satellite picture to understand what's going on with the structure. This is the wide shot, and you can see Don down here, fairly well organized considering all this dry air that's around. We'll take another look at that in a moment. Has a ball of convection instead of banding. We're going to look at that closer as well. And then this over here is Invest 96L. We are not going to worry about this right now, as this is the top focus. So let's zoom in on the satellite picture. This is the infrared colorized. And the first thing I want you to notice is that it's shaped like a ball. And that's, we talk about the vorticity being shaped round. That's fine, but you see this little band right here that's basically void of any convection, and then there's another band that's trying to come in through here and maybe over here, and those are all void of convection, and you don't have any bands on the west side. It's kind of like I'm drawing a weird spider or something, but the idea is we look at this and we say, okay, it's got 50 mile per hour winds, it's a tropical storm. Oh my goodness, what do I do? I'm vacationing down here in the islands and I'm worried. Well, until we see it start to really develop banding and more organization than just this ball of convection, and this is healthy enough, don't get me wrong, but it certainly could be worse. Obviously, you don't need me to tell you that. It could be a hurricane, but it's not, okay? So until we see, and unless we see this become more classic looking, what we're typically used to seeing, then the effects here in Barbados and for the rest of the Windward Islands down here are going to be limited to brief gusty winds, periods of heavy rain, rough seas, but nothing that you can't handle. Maybe some power outages, and certainly with some of that heavy rain, the threat of flooding. And you all remember down here when Brett came through this area in June that the flooding was an issue in Trinidad and Tobago. So we don't want to underplay that, but this is not a formidable system in terms of the wind especially. That being said, you can expect, especially small craft in this area where the effects are going to come through, certainly could expect some tropical storm force gusts, again, locally rough seas, and if the convection happens to blossom as it's moving over your area, when I say convection, that's this red color in here, and really all of this, but the reddish color, deep thunderstorms, they're going high into the atmosphere, and the higher up they go, the farther over into the right of the scale they are, which means the cloud tops are colder. So if we see it increase in this red and it develops bands with oranges and reds in it as it moves over this area, then we're going to know when it's happening. Unfortunately, we can't predict it ahead of time, that it is intensifying or at least developing deep convection as it moves over some of these islands. So we're going to have to basically just nowcast it as it happens. And I'll do that. I'll post some Twitter updates throughout the day. If you're not following me on Twitter, I am at HurricaneTrack, Hurricane Track, and we'll monitor this and see what happens about every 6 hours or so, and then every 3 hours as it gets closer. This is going to move very quickly. So one thing just to point out here, the Saharan air layer definitely doing a job. This is quite impressive when you see this much expanse of African dust. Yet, despite that, we do have Tropical Storm Don and Invest Area 96L. So, even in the face of all of this dust, we do have, and dry air, these systems to monitor. The GFS really was not much help. I want to show you this, the overnight run of the GFS. Let me go back up here and start it over. I don't think it had a very good initialization of the vortex for Don. And if you look right down here, there it is, and it looks like a little cell. just inching along like a little amoeba, doesn't it? And, well, maybe it captured it pretty well, because after all, the satellite image, if we go look at the close-up, that kind of looks just like a ball moving along. So maybe the GFS did pretty good. This is out towards 72 hours. You say, well, Mark, where is it? Well, it disappears in the Caribbean because these barbs in here, these wind barbs, 25, 30 knots, this is going to really pick up some steam as it moves through. And this gradient in here between the island of Hispaniola and Venezuela and Colombia here, this is sort of like you get this squeeze play that tends to wring these systems out. It's not until later in the hurricane season, when this begins to let up a little bit more, that these systems can move through and intensify. So that matters, because you folks in Jamaica and the ABC Islands down here don't have to worry about this too much at all, and probably not even really over here in Central America either. So that's the latest on what's happening with Tropical Storm Don. Again, I'm going to post updates later today. I'll have another video update late this afternoon as well, maybe in the early evening hours, as Don will be very close to, if not passing through the islands at that point. So that'll be an interesting time to be able to do an update, and maybe people can have posted pictures on Twitter or something, or tag me on Twitter, and I can show your stuff on the update. Just do so safely, and don't do anything dumb. Don't try to get your 15 seconds of fame, and you notice it's not 15 minutes anymore. It's 15 seconds, it seems, these days. If you don't capture somebody's attention in 15 seconds, you've lost it. Much less for 15 minutes, unless you're watching one of my videos, right? But yeah, I'll be on top of this throughout the day on Twitter, and then on another video update later this afternoon or early this evening. All right, have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll be back with you later. I'm Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. Thanks for your attention this early morning hour. I'll talk to you several hours down the road.